Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. Joan served the state of California as a member on the Arts Council and on the Film Commission. She was formerly on the Architectural Commission and fulfilled 2 terms on the Fine Arts Commission for the city of Beverly Hills. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview magazine, Condé Nast Publications, and the Hearst Corporation, Joan covered the world of fashion, the mysteries of food, the excitement of theater, and the international art scene. She continues to find people who are on the cutting edge of their professions. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We're taping here in the Hollywood Museum in the fantastic Max Factor building on Highland, and our guests are Julia Edwards, playwright, and artist Joanne Julian. Julia Edwards is a playwright, teacher, and parent. She holds a Bachelor of Arts from Brown University and an MFA in playwriting from UC San Diego. Her East Coast roots are reflected in what you now teach, I think, and what you've been writing. So, where did this start? When did you decide to teach people how to write?
Gosh, I guess maybe it comes in part from my dad, who is a teacher. He was a teacher in mathematics, and so it was just always in the family. I used to, as a youngster, go sit in his classes. He taught at the college level.
You did?
So, oh yeah, so I'd be like, an 8-year-old in a calculus class, and all the students would be looking around at me, annoyed. Yeah, so I guess it was just something that was always in me. I remember doing play dates with friends, and I would play the teacher and give them homework.
That's when you were with your...
Right, yeah, when I was little. So that's what I did for fun. So I've been writing plays, and actually as a kid, I would do plays site-specifically in my house before I knew what that term was.
Site-specific.
Right. So I would do it like set things in the living room, and then the audience would come with me, and I would make my parents pay to come see my shows.
And then would you cast them, or would you do all the roles yourself?
Oh no, actually, even their friends.
Would you cast them?
Right, I did. Even their friends. I mean, my parents must have had the most patient, loyal friends, because they would come to my plays. They would be in my plays. We would have award ceremonies
They'd be in
afterwards.
your play.
Oh yeah. So so it was just sort of a very creative environment.
And they encouraged you, it sounds like.
Oh yeah. Oh definitely.
Did your mother write?
My mother's an artist, so she actually. My dad went to Brown as well, and my mom went to RISD.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, it was
so
just
you really have roots in the East.
Oh yeah. We're all from there.
And does that come out in what you're doing?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely identify as a Yankee, but I don't know. I mean, I've been sort of making a slow move west ever since college.
When you talk about, as a kid, putting on those plays, it seems like you just kept following through. Mm-hmm. Because who can write dialogue for youth?
Oh, well, this is interesting. So I did... So in terms of me teaching kids, I started doing that when I had my own kids, and I was trying to write plays, and it was really theater's tough with a young family. And right now, actually, I have a play that's up right now.
We're going to talk about that.
And it's been so tough on my daughter.
Even now,
she's 7, and I'm away at rehearsals, and so that's been tougher. So when they were really young, I was trying to figure out how to be a writer and have kids. And so I went and taught writing to kids.
But you started that. What is it?
It's called Pasadena Story Lab.
A lab is what I was going to say. And how old are they who come to that?
Oh gosh, I have kids. I started with kids as young as 4, and then all the way up.
That's so fabulous. What do you teach them?
Oh, what? I teach them to act like writers. And, kids can act like anything, right? They can act like astronauts. They can act like, whatever, a chef, the president. And so, it's not that hard for them to say, okay, writers, we're going to be writers today. And, you do that long enough. I've been working with one nursery school for a year.
That's fantastic.
And then they identify themselves as writers.
But they're storytellers anyway. Mm-hmm. Kids are storytellers to begin with, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And so, part of it is just making that leap from and understanding that, you know, everyone has a different skill level, but making that leap from, okay, they're doing some scribbles to, okay, like now you're actually planning out a story, and now you're a writer.
So this workshop, do they dictate to you when you write? Because some of the 4-year-olds can't write.
Right, exactly, exactly. So last summer I went to Columbia University to the Teachers College. They have a writing institute there that's led by Lucy Calkins. And
Where is it?
At Columbia. And it totally changed my approach. Previously, I would have said, like, what's your story? And I would have written it down.
Right.
And you know what? I started this year, and a kid would say, like, how do you spell this? And I was like, you know, do your best.
Just do your best?
Do your best. And yeah, and so for some of them, they're literally, you know, it's like a scribble. And some of them, you know what, if they get the first letter, like that's amazing. That's great. Like you've labeled that, and that is just what writers do.
Oh, that's really good.
But I taught a playwriting class this last summer, a site-specific playwriting class. And my youngest kids were, I think, 7 up to probably 12. And it was such a trip for me because I'd actually I taught undergrad playwriting, but I'd never taught little kids.
Undergrad playwriting, where do they find the voice to write for youth? That's what is always like so interesting to me, that adults are writing youth novels and works.
Yeah. Oh, it's, you know, I think for kids, I don't know. I
No,
mean,
for writers,
yeah.
for you, how do you find that voice?
I don't know. I guess there's part of me that's just still so kid-like, and for me, it's really just inhabiting a character. So I can inhabit, and it's really like play acting, right? So I just wrote something called Scareville that we did at Ensemble Studio Theater in their Winterfest.
So tell us the story about that.
So the story of that, it's about. It's everything I do is sort of inspired by something from my life, and that was inspired by my kids having trouble going to sleep. So, and being terrified about Halloween, and I was so curious about, like, why do we do these things that terrify us, and really wanted to, you know, examine that. And so I've got these 2 kids who are afraid to go to sleep at night, but you know they're old enough so that they don't want to admit that, and so it's their sort of journey to overcome fear. And part of it is also the intellectual understanding of what is fear? Fear is this thing that happens in our brain.
So you explain this?
Oh yeah. There's all this, and you know, ideally, I think it's one of those things that they're doing in concert with work in a classroom. So you're really looking at how chemically fear is manufactured in your body.
And then this is, if it's played for a youthful audience, it's the same thing that they've gone through. So you are identifying the problems from young people, but you have to write them so that they can understand.
Yeah. So, and I think, but that's the fun part of a writer is getting to sort of get into a mindset, right?
Well, I was wondering how you developed the skills to be able to write for age appropriate. Could you write for adults? Do you write for adults?
Oh, I do, yeah. The play that I have now, I have a play at the Mountain View Mausoleum.
Oh, I know. Is that family planning?
No, this one's called Untethered. So this is my new play, and that's for adults.
It is for adults?
It is for adults.
Okay,
yeah.
So you talk about site specific, and you just said the mausoleum. This is very interesting. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so so my last play, Family Planning, I did site specifically in residential homes.
That's what I wanted to ask you, because that was an award-winning play. So should we talk about family planning?
Yeah, we can move from that into the other one. So, and the reason we wanted to do it in a home as opposed to a theater was it's just a very domestic drama. It's about this couple dealing with fertility issues, basically on the worst night of their marriage. And we just decided that for the audience experience to really be in a home so that that sense of like, oh, I'm in a seat in a theater, like that disappears. Like the actors are literally inches from you.
How many people are in the
audience? It could be like 30 to 40 depending on our house size. And so that was sort of my entree in LA to doing site specific. And then with this play, Untethered, the only thing I knew when I was thinking about it was I didn't want it to be in a theater. I love the site-specific experience. I love how it activates the audience. I love the fact that they really don't know what to expect.
But it's even smaller most of the time than a 49-seat theater, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. And I think right now our max audience size is really 40-ish.
So that's
yeah.
close-ish.
Yeah, so it's very intimate. But then it's also so we're in a mausoleum. And I had actually gone to see a play there called Wicked Lit. And
Where is the mausoleum?
it's in Altadena, and if you haven't seen it, it's crazy gorgeous.
Is
it's
it?
just so beautiful. It's like cathedral style gorgeous.
And so is there a venue? Is there an open spot for you?
I wouldn't say there's a venue. It's a mausoleum. It's an active mausoleum. So we were looking around for a space. It's all made of marble. So it's kind of like an echo chamber. So we're like, oh gosh,
so
what are we
do you
going to do?
Right.
So we found this garden. It's called the Cloister Garden, and it's a patio that does not have a roof on it. So that is where we perform half of the play, and then for half of the play, we actually walk around the mausoleum, following the characters on their journey. And for me, after I saw this play, I went home and read my play, which is about love and death. And I realized, oh, it has to be here. And really, I mean, my love of Site Specific comes from the fact that the space becomes a character. So you're not like sitting in your little plush seat with your program and thinking about intermission and getting, you're in this immersive experience. And so for the audience, we've been there for a month. It's a mausoleum.
You have?
Oh yeah, we've just, we've been rehearsing there, and
Oh, right.
so we're quite used to it. But
and were other things done there? Have other things been done there?
yeah, they do. They do
Like what?
cultural events there.
They do?
Yeah, so they have some other
Readings?
theaters. I think they dabble in lots of things. So and they also do a lot of film shoots there.
What street is it on?
It's on Marengo and Woodbury. So you definitely should check it out. And during the day with the sun shining, they have beautiful stained glass. But for our audience, that first moment that they walk in, most people have not been in a mausoleum, let alone a mausoleum of this size. There are 25,000 interments there, so it's humongous. And then just the scale of it, and you're just surrounded by the dead, and it really sort of puts you in this mindset for this play. And that was a question people asked me. I was like, why are you doing a play about love
And death.
in a mausoleum? But to me, it's one of those things where they're just absolutely tethered together.
And how long is the play? It's not very.
Oh, how long does it run?
No, how long is the duration of the play?
Oh, it's about a 2-hour play with
It is?
intermission. Yeah.
Oh, you have an intermission too?
We do.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I know you've used a lot of different. I've seen theater in, say, beauty shops and art galleries, never in a mausoleum.
Okay, you
so
should
this
check
is
it
a
out.
first, and it's called Untethered. Thank you so much, Julia Edwards.
Oh, thank you.
Don't go away. We'll be right back with artist Joanne Julian, who did this piece on the set today. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We're taping at the Hollywood Museum, and our guest is artist Joanne Julian, who was born and raised in Los Angeles. She earned her Bachelor of Arts and MA degree in sculpture and printmaking at Cal State University Northridge, and her MFA in painting at Otis Art Institute. She's taught and lectured at a number of colleges and was on the faculty at the College of Canyons in Valencia, where she also chaired the Fine Arts Department and was gallery director. I don't know how you did all that. Her work has been exhibited in galleries and museums throughout the United States and throughout our state especially, and she's included in many private and corporate collections. We have her work on the set today, this drawing, and we're happy to have you, Joanne.
Thank you.
Tell me, when does an artist, since you're a teacher, know that he's going to be an artist?
Well, my mom tells me when I was a kid, she took us to a little place called Miss Jean's, where we used to paint on little plaster, paint with paint. on little plaster casts. And I don't know, maybe it was wishful thinking on the part of my mom.
Did she want you to be an artist?
Well, she was very encouraging. I think she wanted to be a dancer.
Oh, that's why.
She loved music. My sister became a pianist, and I became an artist.
And so you teach at the college level. Does everyone coming through your college classes know that they're going to be an artist? Or
No.
How does that work?
No, I think a lot of them just are fulfilling a requirement. And I think others of them want to pursue the career. But mostly I think they want to be expressive.
In some way?
Yeah.
And then when they go on after they've had a class with you, where do they go on? Say at the College of...
Oh, to transfer?
Well, or to how much do they get there?
At College of the Canyons, it was the first 2 years. And then they transferred to Northridge or UCLA or Art Center. Or
And at your
Otis.
college, what were they learning? Were they learning printmaking?
Yeah. Drawing, painting, printmaking, design, sculpture.
So it
All of
the
that was in
gamut.
our department, yeah.
When you have those students in your class, do you tend to nurture them? Do you try to bring them along? What
A
do you
lot of
do?
nurturing. That's my middle name, nurturing.
Oh, it is? I hit it right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think mostly they need encouragement and they need people to remind them that discipline and commitment is a good thing. It's not that painful and you get somewhere because of it.
So I know your nature is nurturing, but, and it's because there's a Zen quality to the way you approach, I think, your students.
Well, maybe.
And you've done a series of drawings.
The Zen circles?
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Was that influenced by having to calm down in your classes?
No, not in the classes, but I think life in general, I think focus is necessary a lot for artists, and to block out all of the extraneous material, certainly criticism, and lots of distractions, particularly when you live in an urban environment. I mean, you need that information for food, but you also have to isolate yourself so you can stay focused on your work, stay in the moment, so to speak.
So tell us a little bit about those paintings.
The Zen circles, yeah,
They look very similar, and
Yeah.
yet they're all,
very different.
yeah, it's a series of how many? Or is it
Oh
ongoing?
my gosh, I did them for 10 years. Lots of
did?
them, yeah.
And what were the influences?
Well, I have four Buddhist, now this is going to sound like a misnomer, I have four Buddhist godchildren who are Japanese. And I think being in proximity to their family, I learned about their outlook. And also I had a colleague who suggested that I see a Buddhist priest and he wasn't an artist, not an artist.
But they have the calligraphy, right?
Right. And it has very much to do with centering yourself and being authentic. And the art world, as you know, is full of all kinds of fluff that doesn't really...
Unauthentic.
Yeah, doesn't have anything to do with this, you know. So staying focused, being authentic, being real, being what you are, I think much more important than any trend.
But so you took that calligraphy,
Yeah.
it looks like, so some of them are half, some of them are circled this way.
Yeah.
They're all
A little different.
approached a little differently.
Different, but all me.
Oh, they're all you. They're
All
centered.
me. Yeah.
What goes onto that circle? What are the other elements?
Theoretically, the center is supposed to be nirvana, where there's ultimate peace, but I live in the real world. So a lot of times, depending on what's going on with my life, there can be angst.
And then do you have an
I put it
angst?
in there.
Okay.
Yeah, or it, it can be genteel, there could be waves in there, or I'm very interested in botanicals because I'm a gardener. My dad was a big gardener, so sometimes I put that flowing through the center. So whatever happens to be in my life at the time.
And what material were those made with?
Paint, ink, Prismacolor, graphite, all of the above.
On?
Paper, all
Always
on paper.
Do you always work on paper?
I have lately. I
But
did.
in the past?
Yeah, I have done painting on canvas, traditional canvas, and paper too. watercolor, oil on canvas.
How different are those? Because oil on or oil on paper, do you do?
Don't do oil on paper, it really sucks it up. It
That's
sucks
what I
up.
wondered, yeah, but doesn't
Yeah.
the watercolor suck up in the paper
Yeah,
too?
but that's part of working the medium, you know. And I don't, of course, when
Let's
I
talk about
draw,
this.
I use a point. That's ink, India ink. And it's done with a house painting brush. You know, that first strike is a house painting brush. So there's something always spontaneous and always something rather meticulously mannered. And the two fuse like yin and yang.
And tell us what inspired this.
Well, for the last 3 to 5 years, I've been working on botanicals in my studio
So this is
garden.
the leaves.
Yeah, this is actually it's the base or the trunk pieces of a palm.
And then was your work shown in the gallery, or did you use the gallery at the Canyon?
College of the Canyons.
College of the Canyons, I always say, right? College of the Canyons. Did you use the gallery for your student shows, or did you bring outside people in?
We brought outside people. It was used as an instructional tool. So we had,
great.
you know, selections from Pacific Asia Museum. We had Goya that was on loan from Pomona College. We had stuff the kids could learn from because
And then
we were remote.
Oh,
you
because
know?
you are remote. Where is Valencia? Way out?
Yeah, it's near Magic Mountain.
Oh.
I,
But it's near
Cal Arts.
Cal
Near
Arts.
Cal Arts. That's, you know, the big cultural monument for Valencia is Cal Arts.
But
And-
that's great that you
yeah,
have this gallery
we had
there.
proximity. Yeah.
So did you organize those shows too, along with cheering everything out?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. We wrote catalogs.
Oh, you did that too?
Yeah. I wrote the catalogs, actually.
I know, I want to talk more about your work because I know the subject is nature. You love
Yeah.
nature. You have this series of fish.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
Thank you.
And they look like they're floating in.
Yeah.
Tell us how do you look at fish?
You know, I trained to be a junior Olympic swimmer at one point, and I think I might have been a fish. But I used to go to the Pacific Asia Museum where they had a huge koi pond. And when I had my studio in Pasadena,
I was going to say, wasn't that in Pasadena?
yeah, I would go look at the fish, and then I'd go back to my studio and paint the fish.
Would you take pictures, or
No
did
pictures.
you draw when you were there?
Mostly in here. And then the authenticity that we were speaking of before.
Yeah.
No, I think that you miss a step when you work from a photograph, or at least I do. You know, lots of artists work from photographs, but I like to let that stuff get in and then put it out my own way. In other words, be the fish.
So you were the fish. What
Yeah.
about the birds? You've
Be
done a
the
lot
bird.
of birds.
Yeah.
And little, there's no bird in here, is there?
No bird in there.
But-
Sometimes insects. Yeah.
But sometimes the work had birds like this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And what kind of birds did you draw?
I like ravens.
You had a raven at the Brand Gallery
Yeah.
in an exhibition that I saw. Very strong.
Thank
Most
you.
people don't like ravens.
They're so smart.
The
They're
ravens
brilliant.
are.
Yeah. Crows, to actually tell you the truth, I think they're really crows, but I like the name Raven. It sounds more dramatic and romantic.
It really
you
is.
know?
And what did you use? It was a big piece.
Well, there were splats of India ink that came first. And, you know, they don't stay still for very long. Although I used to sit on the stoop in the front of my studio and throw snails out there that I didn't want eating my
Oh,
garden.
so you were using them as,
And that bait, and then the ravens would come.
but I
and
mean, you were
have
using
lunch.
them as your subject matter.
That's
you
right.
They were sitting for you.
That's right. Not still. But then when I needed something to be still, I'd go to Stats in Pasadena and get a stuffed one around Halloween time
Oh, really?
that were movable, and I could move them, and at least I was still working from something in the round.
Did you make a lot of series of those?
I made about a half a dozen of them.
They're very strong.
Yeah, thank
And they're
you.
scary, actually, in a way.
In between, the faces have loving looks. It's the splats that are full of anger.
The other thing that is not full of anger, and that you've done a series of clouds and skies.
Yeah. I think when I moved out to my studio, which is near the beach, I'd lived in the city all my life and never really saw the stars or the sky because there were so many buildings. So out there it's flat and it's darker. So the skies are very apparent. So for about a year I did skies.
In the same medium?
Watercolor, all watercolor.
And did you do them site specific? Were you right there painting them?
You mean like plein
Like
air?
plein air, right.
No, I don't do it like that. I go out there and I lie on a bench in my garden and look up. And then, just kind of like the fish, then I come inside and I make it all up.
It's interesting when you say you lie on your back and look up. It's like
Yeah.
a James Turrell environment. Because
Yeah.
he always has that little square or a circle at the top. And you have to look up and you see the clouds in the sky as a painting.
That's it. You know, or just letting it infuse me. So it becomes a part of me, and then I put it out there.
Before we leave, tell us what this beautiful piece is.
Thank you. This piece, you know, people give me a lot of botanicals. And this cactus flower was given to me by curator Betty Brown, a longtime friend. And I had a piece of the cactus myself. So I put the component part, a little piece. So I put the component parts together and actually invented that top piece there.
It's beautiful, the flower.
Yeah, I thought it was really lush looking. So I think a lot of it, you know, if you look at it long enough and you experience it, you can invent what you need.
Is it pencil?
Yeah, it's Prismacolor pencil.
All pencil.
All pencil.
And this is all ink and graphite, a mix.
The linear part is graphite. The brush stroke, of course, is the India ink. Yeah.
What will be your next series? Do you think about it?
Well, yeah, all the time. The next piece always comes out of the last one you do. And I did those colorful flowers. They're going to be in a show at the Valley Performing Arts Center, September.
Oh, fabulous.
But I started this maybe a month ago, and this is actually a study for a larger piece. I work maybe 10 years in black. Then I'll work another 5 years in color. Then I'll go back to 10 years in black.
Okay, where are we now? We're back to black?
Black again. Black again, and the piece that I'm working on now that's on the table is about 4 by 5 feet.
Paper.
Yeah.
You don't work with canvas anymore?
I don't know. There's just something. There's just something about the surface that I like.
And thank you so much for coming and for sharing your work with us.
Thank you for having me.
You can keep writing to me at JAQUINN1 at AOL.com. See you next time.